All right, guys, I have no show notes for this one because... Oh, my mic's way over there. I have no show notes for this one because, well, quite frankly, I'm a little fired up. Didn't bother going about it today, so I'm going to be hitting it pretty heavy today on a couple of items. I'm going to do a little bill update real quick. HB 360 will probably hit the floor today. Session starts at 4 minutes ago, and they will be voting on a couple of bills. Probably HB 208 might be hitting the floor then. That's the school bill with amendments 2 and 4. The other day, Regina Huff on Christopher Weiss's Facebook admitted that perhaps the bill as wrote did allow for schools to stay out of session after finally going back and forth and arguing with us and our cadre of individuals that support us. She finally admitted that, yeah, maybe the bill does do exactly what you said it does, and maybe I don't read it. And that was on Christopher Weiss's Facebook page. That's worth checking out if you're going to check out something. HB 360, that's the bill to return licenses to businesses and to stop the government from being able to take licenses from businesses. HB 360 is really good in that matter because what it does is let's say SB1 and HB1 gets held up in court. This bill here, by taking away the ability to take away licenses, all the governor can do is make mandates and then has to go get injunctions on each individual place. He can't just remove a license and then go from there. And because of that, he would have to get an injunction. And as you saw with our case, an injunction requires a bond. You had to go get a bond. And having to pay for that bond costs money. And that's a way that if we get 30, 40, 50 restaurants standing up all at once, we can drain the fund of the health department and everything else and be able to keep going. So therefore, for that reason, HB 360 is really important. It is kind of a big old middle finger to Andy bill, basically, to say, you know, everything you have done, we're going to try to undo, which is great. And it's great that they're doing that. And it's great that they're trying to fix the mess that they've left us with here with HB 360. And that's fantastic. And I support them doing that. That doesn't take away from the issue of impeachment. And, you know, the case for impeachment's been made. The governor himself doesn't even say he didn't break the law. He's just saying, well, you know, it was a whoopsies, right? So the investigation, the argument is how much did Andy Beshear know or not know when he was banning schools? How much did he know that it was a First Amendment rights violation? To explain that, if he did not say out loud, this is a First Amendment rights violation, he has the argument to make where you could make an argument on his behalf. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm not saying it's a good argument. I'm not saying it's proper. But he has an argument that he can make that says, I didn't know that was a First Amendment rights violation. Governments and governors do these things all the time where they make a law that gets found to be unconstitutional later or a mandate. My bad. Whoopsies, move on with our lives. However, if he said, as it looks like in the records he did, he knew it was a First Amendment rights violation, however, he just didn't care, that is knowingly infringing upon the First Amendment rights of Kentuckians. So that is the argument. So the impeachment committee asked for more records. He says, I have no more records. The next logical step for them to do would be at that point to go on to investigating that by calling the witnesses involved. Mainly in this case, we wanted to call Rodney Brewer out so that way we can go ahead and get that done. So we have been getting some feedback. Sorry, I'm reading this email that was forwarded to me that was sent from Ed Massey real quick. And it looks like, let's see. It looks like the impeachment committee is meeting today as soon as the House adjourns. And so there's going probably to be a vote of sorts. So what is going on is they're meeting again today. We're getting feedback. There will probably be a vote. If there's a vote to not impeach at this point, I think that's a complete derelict of duties in the sense that they need to fully investigate the crime, investigate impeachment. They need to fully do that. And failure to do that is a failure of the committee. Now, a lot of people say, well, they already have the evidence, everything else. Why don't they just move it forward? I 100% agree with you. However, I do want the committee to collect as much evidence as possible. And right now, because they started responding to our emails. And so what that tells me, as people are responding to our emails, what that tells me is that we are getting at them badly. I've seen some interesting emails. I'll talk about that we're getting back from them. And so some of them are, there has to be high facts and evidence, very high bar for impeachment. You got to have a lot of evidence to impeach. I agree with you. We do have to have a lot of evidence to impeach. I wish the Democrats held the same same standard when it came to federal impeachment, because literally we've had 2 impeachments where the crime was inciting an insurrection, which, based upon the evidence, I really don't see how saying go peacefully protest is inciting an erection, inciting a insurrection, but whatever. And then we have the first impeachment of Trump, which was about obstruction of justice on a phone call, a misdemeanor of sorts, nothing to do with constitutionality. And then we have a governor here that has knowingly violated First Amendment rights. That's the accusation. And we can't get a freaking witness called as you're doing the investigation. You can't then call the person that he was communicating with that said it was a First Amendment rights violation, that said that it was a bad thing to enforce, the one who was fired then afterwards for saying those things, Rodney Brewer, and you won't call him as a witness. That's a problem. You aren't investigating. You want to sit there and say there's not enough evidence to impeach, and I hear you saying that. Then gather the evidence. You haven't even called witnesses yet. You can't say there's not enough evidence to impeach if you haven't gathered witnesses yet. That has been why we've been pushing for witnesses to be called. It is their job to do it. They should do it. That group has the right of subpoena. They can subpoena. They are supposed to investigate. They're like a detective investigating a crime. And if you don't even talk to the witnesses, how can you sit there and say, well, we just don't have enough evidence? And some of these emails I'm reading, one of the things I got back was Jason Nemeth saying that, I look back at the last 10 governors and, a lot of them did similar things and I don't see it as impeachable. Last 10 Kentucky governors. What? Which one of them banned church? Like literally banned going to church. Which one of them sent police into a church's parking lot to write down license plates numbers that talked about filing acts against them? This is all in that report that the governor office and them had discussed over whether or not to force quarantine anybody who went to church on Easter. That's right, they wanted to house arrest you for 2 weeks for going to church on Easter. This was talked about, and yet, here we are, wondering if there's enough evidence. This was talked about in that discussion. Once again, the governor doesn't deny this. And you won't even call witnesses, and they're going to meet today to discuss, the indications I'm getting is that they're going to meet and they might dismiss it. Now, let's talk about why would they dismiss it at this point. This is why. If you go on to the GOP's page right now, Facebook page. Sorry, it's getting a little yelly there. I might get fired up again. I'm fired up today. If you go onto the Kentucky GOP Facebook page, they made a post here recently about asking people to donate, check the box to give $2 to the Republican Party when they're on their IRS, when they're talking about their taxes. And in that conversation, let me see here. I'm sorry about the sun, guys. Oh, that's real bad. Whatever. We'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. It's fine. We don't care. We care about the words I'm saying. Anyways, the GOP on that post had said on there that you go into that post and you read the comments and they're being torn apart. A lot of people are saying the same thing we're saying. They're sitting there saying, no, We're not going to keep donating to a party that then works against us and wants to fundraise off a Democrat governor that's over here trying to house arrest people for going to church. We're not going to let you fundraise off a governor that is causing child suicide. We're not going to let you fundraise off a governor causing a higher OD rate. We're not going to let you fundraise off a governor that is taking people's livelihoods and lives and throwing them into an unemployment system that is broke and is broke because of his failure to fix it, because he's a failure. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing at all because all he's trying to do is run for higher office eventually. He accuses every single person of that says anything. When Allison Ball dropped a report saying, hey, you broke the law. You broke the Constitution. His response was, well, that reads like a report of somebody running for higher office. Just because that's what you think you're going to do doesn't mean that's what everybody's doing. Some people have no desire to run for higher office. Some people have no desire to really be in office. Some people have no desire to take part. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get the darn sun out the eyes. Some people have no desire to be any part of that cabal you have going on over there. We don't desire that. What we do instead, though, is we want people that are going to stand up for things. And just because you can't imagine anybody with the backbone doesn't mean we can't. So the GOP doesn't want him impeached. He's good for business. He's good for fundraising. Forget them. They need to go kick rocks. I don't care. I care about the candidates because it's clear the GOP has failed to protect any Kentuckians from tyranny. They're passing laws now to try to fix it, but you're not punishing the man for what he's done. Somebody breaks the law, they get impeached. He knowingly violated the First Amendment. He tried to throw you under house arrest for going to church. Put him out of office. It isn't hard. But they think they want to kill it because it's not good for business, and they also don't want people going on the record. Well, guys, I got to tell you this much. We have a way. They think you're going to get out of going on the record. You're wrong. Every single House individual is going to be put on the record some way. And this is how it can be done. This is where you got to know the rules of the House. So, the House Impeachment Committee can, what they do is they put together a report. And when they put together a report, they then present that report to the House as it's standing. Okay? At that point, it takes one House rep, only one, to say, I vote to reject the report. And then it takes only one other one to second that motion on the floor. Then that triggers what's called a roll call vote, which means at that point immediately, every House rep will have to vote on whether or not they want to and they think the report from the impeachment committee is worthy of working on. That puts every single House rep on the record somewhat of how they would vote on impeachment. At that point, we know how many House reps really want to impeach Beshear. Because in that roll call vote, that is the indication we need to know where everybody's sitting at. After that vote occurs, one legislator can propose articles of impeachment at that point. If it looks like we have the support based upon the roll call vote on the rejection of the impeachment committee's report, then like I said, a House rep can call for impeachment, file articles off the same charges, and we have an indication of the support that's going to have, which gives these legislators a backbone to be able to vote because they know where everybody's going to fall. They know where, if they can do it and it's going to pass or not, because that's what they're worried about. They're worried about looking foolish. They're worried about using up. They're worried about using up too much of, their quote unquote goodwill, whatever you want to call it. If there is, it's messed up, I know. Just bear with me. If there is, at that point, they can then get an idea of what the actual vote would be for impeachment. And they can file articles of impeachment. And more importantly, we now have every single House rep on the record over whether or not they would vote for impeachment. And now you know who you want to primary or not primary, or if you should support your House rep in this next election. Now, you can be asking yourself, well, just because they don't want to impeach doesn't mean they're bad. Listen, what is worse? A tyrant or people who enable the tyrant? And what is worse, the man who commits the crime or the people that let him get away with committing the crime without stopping him and say nothing and do nothing when that is one of their sole jobs? I hold to you, it is the second. When Andy Bashir breaks the Constitution, at least we can say, well, you know what? It's not exactly surprising. We all know how he feels about the Constitution. We now need to hold him accountable to make sure it doesn't happen again. And that's where the House reps then can fail us. And that's what they're doing. And they're annoyed. They're annoyed at the calls. They're annoyed at the emails. They're getting so upset about the constant communication. They're emailing people back, so upset. Jason Nemes emailing this long message about different things, and in there saying, I know you're getting pressure from leadership to blah, blah, blah. His only response was, I'm not getting pressured from leadership. Whoever told you that's a lie? Come on now. You want to sit there and pretend, Jason Nemes, like you're getting no pressure at all from the leadership of the Republican Party? In either direction, let's just say in either direction. You really want to sit there and pretend this committee wasn't set up as a kill committee from the start? You really want to pretend this committee is not a committee that is getting pressure to do it? I mean, here's your point in case example. You have Ed Massey sitting on the committee, which is sitting on a citizens impeachment committee, who then sponsors a bill to get rid of citizens impeachment in the future. That's right. You have a person sitting on the committee that has a bill that they've sponsored to get rid of the committee. And you want to tell me, well, no, this is a very fair and honest committee. This is very straightforward. It's a very honest committee. Let me tell you, I think it's a great, and it'll be very fairly done. No, that's not it. It's clearly not being fairly done at all. You look at it. Did you break the First Amendment? Courts say you did. Alison Ball says you did. Auditor says you did. You say you did. Remember, his defense to the church ban is only that he didn't enforce it. The only reason he didn't enforce it was because the Kentuckians that got tickets wrote to them, then went to the Sixth Circuit Court and got an injunction filed to stop him from enforcing it. But you know what? Kentuckians shouldn't have to have a lawyer on retainer to stop their governor from violating their First Amendment rights. It shouldn't happen. But yet here we sit. And now we got issues. Here the GOP thinks, hey, we're going to be able to fundraise off this. We're going to be able to do it. If anything, if I'm in the GOP, I impeach the guy just to get some darn unity in my party, because there is none. On correction, there is. And I love it too when I'm sitting through here and I'm reading comments on our page of people saying, no, Andy's got support. Look at this here. Survey done that shows he has 55% approval rating. First, if he really has 55% approval rating, that means in 4 or 5 months, I think was the last one, he had like 80% something, supposedly according to that one, or 3 months ago. He took a nosedive of 30% of approval rating in 3 months. Holy cow. So either that last one was lying or this one is, but more importantly, on that same one, it has Mitch McConnell at a 41% approval rating. Realistically, does anybody think that is true? I can't name a single Democrat that likes Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell can't stop getting censured from his own county parties in his own state. And you want to sit there and tell me he has a 45% approval rating? That's one of the highest approval ratings he's ever had. That's not what's going on at all. They know that's not what's going on. Nemes even admits, yes, I get tore up. I've never gotten so much emails and calls in my life. In one weekend, I'm getting thousands of emails and calls. And they want the pain to stop. They're going to try to vote to know this forward because they think we're going to forget about it and we're going to tie up. You know what? Maybe you guys will, maybe you won't. I don't know. I'm not here to speak for you, but I can tell you this much. We aren't messing around. I'm literally willing to go to jail I'm willing to sacrifice my own personal freedoms just to stand up against tyranny when I see it, and when it's coming from me, and when it's destroying my life. Do you think I'm really not willing to fundraise and run you out of office? Do you know who you are dealing with? My commitment to what I believe in? Some would say my stubbornness might be a negative thing, and it probably is. But man, I'm pretty stubborn. And I'm not just saying words to any politician or anybody watching. You've heard a lot of people say, well, I'm going to run you out of office and blah, 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 and then they never do it. They never even set up, the financial instruments they need to do it. Well, I can tell you this much. We have a PAC set up. There's a PAC set up. We have a Liberty Foundation, a 501c foundation set up. We have people that donate to us. I'll go ahead and drop the link if you want to donate to Brood, and then this money here is spent only on fighting the it's used for impeachment costs, of course, and then also for nothing but for fighting for liberty, nothing but for issue advocacy, nothing but for organization, nothing but for anything else but running out people of office and getting forward the ideas and thoughts of liberty. We aren't messing around. I dropped $6,000 of my own money on printing out pieces of paper. Who do you think you're dealing with? Like, honestly, who do they think they're dealing with here? Do you think we're messing around? I can take 4 people out of office in a primary. To those people that want to sit there and say, well, can you really? Do you understand how primaries for state legislators work? They're decided most of the time on a couple hundred votes. Last night, we had 60, 70, 80, probably around 90, 100 people in Brood at one time to hear a senator talk and a lawyer talk and me talk about different medical tyranny and how to resist it and things like that. What legally can you do in these situations? Know your rights kind of thing. You think I can't turn out 20 people in a weekend to door knock against somebody that allowed tyranny to continue in Kentucky? You think we can't do that? And correction, I'm not doing it. You guys are doing it. And you guys are doing it because you're tired of it. And even if I have to show up and knock alone, I will. I will do anything in my power to make sure the 4 of these people are ran out of office permanently. I will do anything I need to. Stop messing with us. Either pass the impeachment forward or call a witness today. You're supposed to meet after the House is over. If you fail to do that, we will make every House rep go on record somehow. We will get this figured out. What I need all of you to do is, 1, you can donate if you want to, but 2, more importantly, email your specific House rep and say these words. If the committee votes no on impeachment, vote to reject the report. So I got to say, if the impeachment committee votes to not impeach, reject the report, send that to your specific House rep representative. That's all you got to say. If the impeachment committee does not vote to impeach, reject the report, send that out for me. We don't know if they're going to do it or not. If they actually reject it today, if they do, we're going to start really reeling up on that real hard tomorrow. So we're going to need everybody's participation here. And you guys who don't know this, we do have a group chat with about 100 people in it, where we do our more so issue advocacy there. And we have a little more conversation there about what's going on. There's a little more back and forth in there. If you want to join that, message us to join that. But that's what we need to be sending out, as well as call LRC, leave a message for the impeachment committee that simply says, call witnesses, email jason.nemes, Jason, Jason .nemes at lrc.ky.gov. If I got that wrong, somebody correct me. lrc.ky.gov. And say, call witnesses. They can't say that they didn't have enough evidence to impeach if they never even gather it. Don't let them get away with it. Don't let the GOP get away with it. Don't let them keep pulling the wool over your eyes. Stop donating to the party. Donate to candidates. Donate to causes you believe in. And let's push back and let's